Tripper plug, this the real deal. This tripper plug, this the real deal. Tripper plug, this the real deal. This tripper plug, this the real deal. I know you see me on television, I know you see me on your YouTube, but you don't know me in real life, little homie. You better play it cool. Never let your left hand know what your right hand finna do, cause they gon' study your every move, try to imitate what you about to do. This here is the gang. We don't rock with you if I ain't feeling you. I've been on top since I started, dog, and I ain't finna move. I became very, very close friends with this guy named Reggie. And he was in a 7-year DL loving relationship with NBA star Derrick. And I mean, we were so close. We would talk every day for hours. This is about to be a story time because this is probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me. It was just a regular day. Rock, I still didn't have any intimate feelings or emotional feelings about Rock as much as we talked, and only thing that we really had in common was that I wanted to get married, and I felt like the psychic was talking about me. I had literally told my whole family that I was going to get married. I told my mother. I knew about his relationship with his mom, that he wasn't close with his mother, so I told him, like, look, my mother could be your mother. You know, I was like, my mother is down. Like, I promise you, all I will have to do is tell her that you want to talk to her. And I did, you know. I introduced him to my mother over the phone. I was like, Mom, this is going to be your son. Like, we getting married. I told them to exchange numbers, and they did. And, I mean, he would send her messages every morning saying, good morning, Mom. And, you know, she liked him. She was like, oh, he's so sweet and things like that. Now, a couple of my cousins, I told them that I was getting married. One in particular, and she was like, she laughed and she was like, you getting married? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, to who? And I was like, to this guy named Rock from New York. And she was like, how long you known him? And I was like, not that long, but I told her about the psychic and things, and she literally laughed. She was like, boy, you crazy, you better be careful. And I was like, no, we good. Like, this is the person that I'm supposed to be marrying. Like, I became very defensive over anybody being skeptical about our relationship, or like, you marrying what? Another cousin of mine, I told her, and she was happy for me. She was like, what, you getting married? She was like, well, you know, I gotta meet him, or, you know, I want to talk to him. And y'all, when I tell you, I was like, okay. So I told Rock, I was like, well, my cousin want to talk to you. This is my, like, favorite cousin, and, you know, she want to, you know, holler at you. So he was like, oh, cool. Like, he was excited to meet the family and things like that. So I called on the 3-way, and when my cousin heard his voice, she was like, Rock, what's up? I heard a lot about you. And he was like, oh, thank you. You know, Rock had a high-pitched voice. It wasn't deep and like a masculine voice, but at the same time, I just didn't want to judge him for his voice. I just felt like I would be putting myself in a box and probably missing out on the love of my life or the person that I was supposed to be with if I judged him for his voice. Now, in the past, I would judge somebody about something like that. Like, if you sounded like a ladybug or something like that, I wouldn't be interested in you. But since the psychic said that we were supposed to be together, I was all in. My cousin heard his voice and she was like, yeah, I heard a lot about you. And she was like, I'm gonna be honest. You don't sound like the type of person my cousin would ever be interested in. Man, when I tell you, you could hear like a pin drop on the phone. It was so quiet. And he was like, what you mean? And she was like, I mean, Tripp, he like men, masculine dudes. She was like, I don't want to say because I don't want to hurt your feelings. And he acted her on. He was like, no, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings. Like, I'm strong. Trust me. Like, you say what you got to say. And she was like, you sure? And he was like, yeah, say what you got to say. And she was like, you sound like a bitch. Like a female. Like, you sound like gay. Like, and he was so offended and hurt. I could hear it in his tone. Like, he was just like, oh, wow, And I immediately jumped in. I was like, look, don't talk to him like that. That's so shallow, to say something like that, And she was like, well, he asked me. And I was like, look, Rock was like, I'm going to get off the phone right now. You can call me back later if you talking to me saying call him back later or something like that. But he had to go. Oh, man. When he got off the phone, I immediately got on my cousin. I was like, you so shallow. And she was like, but that's not the type of person you would talk to. Like, I know you. You don't like that. And I was like, but still, though, it's a new day. Like, this is the person I'm supposed to be married. And you want me not to talk to him because his voice is high? So I'm supposed to miss out on everything in life that I'm supposed to have, a family and a husband, because his voice. And she was like, well, you grew up, you didn't come a long way if you gonna talk to him, because it was just last month or so you was talking about, you don't like people. And I was like, well, it's a new day. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, like, that was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you hurt his feelings. And she was like, well, he asked for it. But that's how my family is. Like, if you ask them, they gonna give it to you raw and the truth. So, I called Rock back and, recovered from it and things like that. Now, the whole time, like I say, me and Reggie are talking, and I didn't know who Reggie was in a relationship with. I knew he was always on the planes or saying that he wasn't going to be available because he was flying from this city to that city, Sometimes he would hit me up and tell me he was at the game and things like that. I never asked him about who he was in a relationship with because I knew it was very private to him, and things like that. He never told me who he was in a relationship with. I was talking to Rock one day in between their times because Reggie, he would be gone for a couple days or hours traveling on planes and stuff. So me and Rock was talking and he was like, y'all getting real close. And I was like, yeah, man, that's my boy. Like, he was like, that's what's up, And I was like, yeah, we talk like all the time, every day. He was like, that's good, And he was like, I'm surprised that he talks to you that much. He's really private most of the time and he don't really open up and talk to people. And I was like, for real? He was like, yeah. He was like, he must really like you. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. He was like, well, you know who his boyfriend is, right? And I was like, nah, he never told me. He was like, he didn't tell you who his boyfriend was? I was like, no. And he was like, oh, I'm surprised. And I was like, well, who is his boyfriend? I mean, should I know? He was like, well, he could tell you, but I mean, I'll tell you, but don't tell him that I told you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, he's in a relationship with Derrick Rose. And I didn't know who Derrick Rose was at the time because I don't watch basketball like that. I was like, Derrick Rose, who is that? And he was like, he played for the Chicago Bulls. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, now that makes sense why he always on the planes and always posting pictures from the Chicago Bulls games and rooting for Chicago Bulls. And he was like, yeah, they've been in a relationship for 7 years. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, he told me that they were together before Derrick got signed to the NBA. They both from Chicago, and you know, that was his boy, and Derrick stayed with him, you know, after he got signed, but it was a relationship that they had to keep on the DL. Now, he told me that Derrick was more of the one who kind of wanted to say something sometimes but Reggie would be like, nah, boys, you crazy? Like, nah, you know, you gonna mess up your career. Let's just ride it out, and, you know, it's okay. I'm good, you know. So I was like, wow. So when I heard that, I instantly became even more protective over Derrick and Reggie, because I knew how hard it was to find a friend that you could trust. I knew that their secret was very important and their relationship was very important. I admired it, you know, and I wanted to be the friend that they could trust that would never tell their business, because that's the person I am. And I felt proud that he was getting close to me. And I was like, wow, like, so in that moment, I became more protective over Reggie. When we would talk and things like that, you know, I understood where it was coming from. I wanted them to have a safe place. And, you know, I never talked about Derrick to him. I waited for him to say something to me. You know, he would always call him D, you know, and he would say things like, oh, D, like, you on the phone, you know, with Tripp again. And he'd be like, yeah, you know, he was like, y'all always, you know, going back and forth and things like that, because we would go back and forth a lot. We would go at it. Like, sometimes he would be trying to tell me about rocking this, and I'd be like, look, nigga, like, calm down. Like, I got this. Don't worry about it. If you gonna be my friend, just be my friend. Don't always keep talking about rock every time. Like, you know, and that's how it would go for the most part, you know. But he shared so many things with me about his relationship, and he finally told me who D was. He told me about the relationship and how they got together. He told me that Derrick cheated on him, you know, and got a girl pregnant. He told me so many things about their relationship. I didn't believe a lot of the things that he would say, so sometimes I would look it up. You know, I looked it up. I seen him and his kid and the baby mama. Sometimes he would say that the kid was over there, or, you know, his family members would be over there. I asked him how many brothers he got. He told me his brothers, and he knew the names of the brothers and his mother, and everything that he was saying really matched with, you know, Derrick's life. And, you know, I asked him why at the time Derrick was on leave or wasn't playing because something was wrong with his leg, but he still had to travel with the team. So he said that they would travel everywhere together. I asked him, why are you always traveling with him? You know, I was like, you don't stay home sometimes, or, you know, do you have to go with him? He was like, that's what he wants. He said he wants me with him. And I was like, wow, that's sweet. I was like, people don't question, you know, y'all. He was like, nah, you know, he was like, a couple of his friends know that's on the team, know that we together. And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, we would just talk. He told me about his relationship with his mother, how his mother hated him, and his mother spit in his face when she found out that him and Reggie were in a relationship, and Reggie tried to always buy her affection by buying her a new house, a new car. She always dogged him and talked down on him. He didn't have no close siblings. You know, one sibling he was kind of close with, but his mother was very religious, and they just hated them. Didn't matter what they had. Now, I know it's a lot. Y'all got to keep up. Now, at the same time, I'm kind of like pulling away from Rock because I just couldn't find a connection with him. I still hadn't seen a picture of him, and that was just starting to make me feel some type of way. It was like, you know, I'm planning this wedding with somebody that I ain't never even seen before. And it was like, yo, I asked him again, can you send a picture? Oh, I'm gonna take one when I get my hair cut, you know, this and that. And it was just like, what are you hiding for? Like, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to, like, I need to see you at your worst. Like, I didn't get it. So I spoke less and less to him, and I was always on the phone with Reggie. And Reggie seemed like he knew, you know, because he would always say something like, you talk to Rock, and I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna talk to him later when he get off work. And he'd be like, okay, man. He was like, how long y'all gonna talk? And I'd be like, bruh, chill. You know what I'm saying? But he always stayed on the phone with me, like, no matter what. And I asked him, like, what is you doing? Like, how you got? And he was like, well, you know, did practice and he bored. He just in the hotel, so he just had downtime to be on the phone with me. And I was pretty much his only friend that he really talked to a lot. So, yeah, man, things just started to seem very weird. And Reggie and D started to sound exactly alike sometimes. Like some of the things they would say or the way they would text, you know, it just sounded like the same person to me. And, you know, I just was trying to think like, they can't be the same people. Like, but things got a little more crazy for me when one day, y'all, I promise you, Rock hit me up and he was like, yo, I found this wedding venue that I want to show you. He was like, what you doing? I was like, I ain't doing nothing. He was like, I'm gonna send it to your Facebook. I said, okay, send it to me. You know what I'm saying? I want to see it. When I tell you, the message came from Reggie's page, from his Facebook page, the venue. And I was like, yo, what the, hold up. I was like, you just said you're gonna send me something and it just came from Reggie's page. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, the venue that you said you're gonna send, it came from Reggie's message. I was like, what's going on? He was like, I don't know how that happened. I was like, nah, bruh. I was like, nah, ain't no way you ain't know how this happened. Like, are you kidding me? He was like, so what you trying to say? And I was like, no, what are you, like, ain't no way. Like, he was like, well, maybe it's a glitch in Facebook. I was like, nah, ain't no glitch. How did the picture that you said you was gonna send me come from Reggie page? He was like, I don't know, let me see. And he started doing something and I was like, bruh, like, I don't know what type of games you got going on here, but I was like, nah, we can't rock. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna be talking. He was like, so you thinking that I'm the same person as Reggie? And I was like, yeah, if you say you gonna send something and it comes from his page, what am I supposed to think? He was like, you want me to call Reggie? And I was like, yeah, call him. He was like, hold on. He clicked over, called Reggie, clicked back over. He was like, Tripp. I was like, yeah. Phone ringing. Next thing you know, somebody picks up the phone. Now, he says, hello? And Rock says, Reggie, I got Ali on the phone. And he was like, oh, hold on, y'all. I'll be right back. And then he got off the phone. And then he came back and he was like, let me call y'all right back. I got D's family and stuff over here. I'm trying to make sure this, you know, nigga don't steal something. His uncle over here. And I was like, you know, and he was like, okay. And he hung up. Now, mind you, this was my first time ever hearing Reggie's voice. This is the person that I talk to for 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 hours a day through messaging. And I thought he would be more excited to like talk to me. And I knew he very private and didn't give out his number. It was times I asked, yo, when we gonna talk? He said, you know, he got to feel very comfortable and he just can't open up. And I always understood because he was protecting D. But when that happened, I ain't gonna lie, I hurt my feelings. You know, I was like, that was Reggie. He was like, yeah, he said he got to call us back because, you know, D's family over there. And, you know, and I was just like, wow, he couldn't even say what's up, you know, to me. Or like, I was just like, I just didn't understand. But I didn't know. I mean, he called the dude Reggie. He said something that about, you know, I just was confused at that point. I was like, so how did this message come from? But you just called. And I just was like, it was just an emotional wreck for me at that moment. Because the person who I'm thinking is like my best friend kind of like, was like, yo, I ain't got time to really talk to y'all. I'm out, you know. And then the person who I'm supposed to marry sending me venues from my best friend's page. And it was just like weird to me, you know. And I just like, yo, just let me go. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like talking. He was like, you gonna be okay? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll be okay. But those little things and those red flags was things that just made me just feel like, nah, this something ain't right. You know, in the back of my mind, I knew something wasn't right. I didn't go all the way through with telling Rock, you know, I just don't feel it no more. I was still waiting for the picture. You know, later on that evening, Reggie hit me up like he always do. And he was like, what's up? And I was like, yo, bro, I feel some type of way. Like we call you. And the first time I'm on the phone, he was like, I'm so sorry. He was like, you know, D be having his family over here. And, you know, every time his uncle come over here, something come up missing. They be drinking and doing this and that. And I was like, he just was preoccupied with everybody and he couldn't really talk. And I was like, yeah, I feel you, you know. He was like, I'm sorry. He was like, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna give you my number one day, like soon, you know, and we're gonna be able to talk. It's like, just bear with me, you know, I got you. And I was just like, I got you, man. Like I said, man, I wanted to be that friend for Reggie and for D that they trusted. So I didn't want to just fly off the handle and be like, no, you got to give me your number now. Like, I knew how it would be to be a star like Derrick Rose, to be in a relationship with a dude, and I knew that they had to protect that at all costs. So I just wanted to be that friend, so I just was being patient. Now, Rock still hadn't sent me a picture yet. And it was like, bruh, like, where's the picture? I didn't want to nag him every day for the picture. So I told my mom, you know, she asked me, you know, what's going on. She was like, yeah, he hit me up every day. And I'm like, he do? She was like, yeah, good morning. Asked me if I need anything, telling me he gonna send me some money and things like that. I was like, wow, okay. You know what I'm saying? Now, my mama, if you say you gonna send her some money and she gonna hold you to it, she gonna like you, you know, oh, that's my boy, you know. And I was like, I don't think we gonna be getting married though. And she was like, why? And I was like, I still haven't even seen a picture of him. She was like, y'all been talking for months and you haven't seen a picture of him? And I think about this time, it was probably like a few months that we had been talking. And she was like, well, you want me to ask him for the picture? And I was like, I mean, you can if you think he'll send it to you quicker than me. Like, yeah. She was like, I'm gonna ask him for the picture. I'm gonna tell him to send it to me. And when he send it to me, I'll just send it to you. And I was like, okay, do it. So me and my mama was all I was like, yeah, ma, go ahead and do it. So she was like, okay. So get off the phone with her. I guess she hit him up and say, you know, send me a picture. Like, I want to see you. I want to see what my son-in-law look like. He sent her a picture. Man, when I tell y'all, like, she hit me up and I knew it was her. I was like, you got the picture? She was like, yeah, he sent me the picture. She was like, I'm about to send it to you right now. So I'm sitting there with my phone, like, anxiously waiting to see what this man looks like that I'm supposed to be getting married to. You know, the picture comes through. Man, when I seen this picture, I was like, oh, hell no. She was like, Ali. I was like, no, ain't no Ali, nothing, ma. I can't marry him. She was like, why not? He don't look that bad. I was like, ma, no, I'm not about to marry this dude. Is you crazy? And she was like, you don't like it? And I was like, no, he not attractive to me. Like, for one, he sent a picture that looked like a prom picture from the 1970s. Some old picture. It wasn't even an up-to-date picture. He was heavy set and just weird looking, like, and I was just like, it wasn't even all that. It was just, I just knew it wasn't somebody that I could look at every day. You know, across from dinner, it wasn't somebody I could wake up to looking at. It wasn't somebody, you know, that I ever wanted to see, ever, in life. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, no, I was so shocked, and, you know, I just was like, wow. I was like, I got to get out of this. And she was like, well, don't say nothing right now because he gonna know that I sent you the picture. And then I was like, ma, I don't care. Like, you know, she was like, well, give it some time. Don't just bring it on him right today. Like, just break it off gradually and stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna have to do something. Because, you know, now, after the picture was sent, I think Rock knew that my mother had sent it to me because his whole energy changed. You know, he hit me up and he was like, did you see the picture? And I was like, no, what picture you talking about? He was like, your mother called me, you know, talking about she needs to see a picture of me and this and that. And I was like, what? She did? He was like, yeah. And I was like, did you send her one? And she was like, yeah, I sent it to her. And he was like, you ain't see it? I was like, nah, she ain't say nothing to me about it. But man, in my mind, I wanted to be like, nigga, I seen the picture and this wedding is over. It's off, you know. But I was like, wow. I was like, nah, she ain't said. Maybe she just wanted to see how you look for herself, you know. And she was like, well, I'm sure she gonna send you the picture. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, I'll let you know, if she do. And he was like, okay. So next thing you know, I get a message from Reggie. What's up, man? What's up? What's going on? And I was like, what you talking about? He was like, your boy said your mother hit him up saying that can he send. And I was like, he told you that? And he was like, yeah, he feels some type of way. Like, and I was like, yeah. He was like, did you see the picture? And I was like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I seen the picture, you know. And he was like, so what you think? I was like, I mean, he ain't for me, but he was like, yo, you so shallow. Now, this is what Reggie is saying to me, the dude who I talk to pretty much more than Rock at this point. You know, that's so shallow. You gonna miss out on everything. That you ain't gonna marry him now. And I was like, man, you tripping. I ain't even say that. I was like, I just said that I was joking. And he was like, nah, you for real. Now you ain't gonna marry him. He was like, that's petty and shallow. He was like, if I wasn't in a relationship with D, I would be with him. Like, he's a great person and this. And I was just like, I feel you. And he was like, well, what's wrong? And I was like, he just, not my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, that's messed up. And he was like, he looked like Theo from and I was like, he looked like Theo, the old, like, not Theo that used to hang with Cockroach. He looked like the Theo now. You know what I'm saying? Mixed with Theo, and he said he looked like Theo and something. I was like, nah, man. You know, he was just like, well, I'm going to call him and tell him that you don't want him. I was like, don't do that. I was like, that's not even your place to do. He was like, well, you going to play with his feelings and hurt him. And I was just, so me and Reggie, we getting into an argument. I was like, bro, like, if you going to be my friend, you got to learn how to be mutual. I was like, what about how I feel? I was like, he took forever to send a picture. And then, like, he sent some old prom picture and things. He was like, yeah, but you being shallow. And now you don't want to be with him because you don't like the way he looked. And I was like, I mean, he was like, wow, that's messed up. That's messed up. And I was like, he was like, I'm not about to let you hurt my friend and this and that. I was just like, ain't nobody said I was doing nothing. You jumping to conclusions and you want to hit him up and say that I don't like him and all of this stuff, you know, because you think he was just like, but you don't. And I was like, look, Reggie, you know, and then Reggie started saying, you know, he got a headache and things like that. And I'm like, well, calm down. You know, that's probably why you got a headache, you know. And he was like, well, I'm going to hit you back, you know, and we'll get off the phone. And, you know, Reggie had disappeared for like a week. Just no communication through Facebook. And I was talking to Rock and I was like, yo, well, Reggie? And he was like, I don't know, like, this ain't like him. And I was like, wow, you know, and I was feeling some type of way.